Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uproot Reddit. IT workers. Have you ever worked with a project manager that tried to act all high and mighty, not to mention boss you around when they aren't actually your boss? Ooh, talk about an awkward situation to be in, am I right? Well, Reddit user Stu Goddard had such an experience. They were just doing their job per their real boss's request. Now, when you're dealing with any IT-related job, there are costs involved. And going beyond the project's parameters means putting the project's budget in the red. And no one wants that. Except for this project manager that Stu Goddard encountered. In today's post, I do work here, but not for you. I work in IT contracting and specialize in quality control and software testing, and this happened about 10 years ago. I was hired by a company, client, as a member of their governance team. Basically, we were to assess the company they hired, Big Tech, to create their software and their testing standards and plans. Governance teams are hard to utilize correctly, and only any good if the person you report to understands. Client was my customer and Alan was my boss from the company. So they decided to change our role to working directly with Big Tech on their test teams to watch what they were doing and bring up any issues to Alan. I'm packing up to leave one day and Big Tech project manager appears out of nowhere and asks to have a meeting. Never spoke to the guy before, but I knew who he was. A bit surprised, I asked if it could wait until tomorrow as the day was over, and he said that it's one of the things I need to discuss. A bit miffed, I agree. So we're going into a meeting room with windows where you can still see the office floor. He asks me to look out on the office and tell me what I see. No idea what he wanted me to say. I was a bit dumbfounded, so I said, "People working?" He nods his head repeating it and then asks why I am not with them and was going home and why I was not dressed appropriately for a client site and so unprofessional. Now I see the issue. He obviously thinks I work for him and not the client directly. I explained that I have done my work for the day, and does he expect me to stay doing nothing? He goes into a long-winded explanation of how the longer we are in the office, the more they have to pay. Intrigued, I asked, does that mean I would get paid more, or is it I should do unpaid overtime so Big Tech can make more money? He explained I was a salaried employee and should be grateful for the experience I was getting with their world-class company. Oh boy, big mistake there. I ask again, then if I have no more work, should I stay to charge the client more? And what should I do while I have nothing to do? He is getting a little frustrated with me and his tone is getting more aggressive and said, I should just look busy while I stay late. That's the problem with traditional business models. To look busy while staying late, that's where most of the stress comes in because everybody wants to go home at this point. Anyways, we continue. That is when I said, you aren't my boss. I work for client and Alan is my boss, not you. Alan was the person he reported progress and billing to. I was hired to make sure Big Tech were accurately creating the software and not overcharging client. You have just outlined how you are overcharging and tried to reprimand me for not taking part. You accuse me of being unprofessional and not dressing professionally. My belief is you are acting unprofessionally and it doesn't matter what you look like, and your insistence of the appearance of being busy to hide inaction illustrates this. You also appear to be taking advantage of your employees, and importantly, you do not know who does and doesn't work for you. So much shade. He freaked out completely and started asking if we could keep this among ourselves, and that if I badmouth the company, I that would affect my chances of getting work in the future as they are so big. Explained it would not be very professional of me and that I would be accurately reporting on what was said. Asked was there anything more he wanted to discuss as he called this meeting, and I normally charge for overtime because I don't like to be taken advantage of. I know that's right. Then I left the room laughing, telling he may have some things to explain tomorrow. Someone's in trouble. When I arrived the next day, he wasn't in his office, which was very unusual as he was there first thing in the morning and last in the evening. I open up the calendar and look up big tech meetings and see project manager has canceled all his meetings for the day. I ring my boss and ask, does he know why project manager is not in today and we should have a meeting? He's up for the meeting, but said project manager has had some family emergency and a new person was going to be project manager in the next few days. Family emergency. Sounds very shady. We have our meeting and I explain what happened. He was furious. He wanted the names of the people who were staying late and just surfing the net. Now, I worked side by side with these people and knew they didn't have any choice. Explained they weren't the issue, but being forced to stay by big tech made them stay, and that they were actually good at the work and realistically replacing them would stall the project. So he decided to get the timesheets and billing together. Suddenly, all the billing reports were password protected and they couldn't get in touch with project manager due to the quote-unquote family emergency. Lots of reports gone missing from SharePoint, all with the project manager's name showing very late hours. He asked me to try and find the information while he contacted Big Tech to explain what is going on. As I'm looking through SharePoint, I notice that project manager is still logged in and actively deleting files. So much for that family emergency, am I right? So I contact the security section to kick him out of the system and get backups of SharePoint. Go to my boss's office and he is on the phone to Big Tech and he puts it on speakerphone and tells them I am on the call. He explains that Big Tech can't contact project manager due to the family issue. So I point out he was just on our network deleting files 20 minutes ago. Silence is deafening from the other end. I tell them the files deleted and password protected now are all being restored and we would have them in a couple of hours. More silence. My boss then says, are they concerned about the content of these files and why is project manager logging onto their servers deleting files? More silence. I could go into the whole thing, but basically piles of documentation proving overcharging. The project manager had been too stupid to understand the client's SharePoint was not his Big Tech SharePoint because, they have the same name. He was not having a family emergency. Shocker, right? And they were hiding him and letting him resign with a package. Now everyone knew what happened, and you would think the staff of Big Tech would hate me, but the opposite happened. They were told not to do any overtime without 3 signatures for approval from the client. It effectively stopped all overtime and made them all very happy. I have met many of them since on other projects, and they still thank me for getting project manager out of the way. He did get other jobs, but let go several times because for all his talk of being able to get projects over the deadline, he had no ability and would just tell people to work longer hours. Man, he has some time management issues. That is not sustainable and doesn't address problems with specifications and design issues. Okay, just because you made a huge mistake and you assumed a lot doesn't mean that covering your tracks is the most viable option. And trying to delete emails from an IT company that deals with computers and software? What made you think that was going to work, project manager? Ugh, talk about both embarrassing and awkward, and also a waste of everyone's time and money. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back for more awkward, embarrassing stories right here on Uproot Reddit, and we'll see you all next time.